Round 3 is complete of the St. Jude Championship from TPC Southwind in Memphis, Tennessee, where J.J. Spaun has a one-shot lead on Sepp Strock. If it weren't for a bogey from Strock on 18, we'd be tied going into the final round. Instead, J.J. Spaun has a one-shot lead. Nothing like super excellent in the third round from either player, a 2 under 68. Will Zalatoris was excellent, a 5 under in this one. And Sung Jae Im with the round of the day, a 7 under 63. But a crowded leaderboard going into the final round. The top 70 move on to the BMW Championship next week in Delaware, as one of these guys at the top leaderboard looking to cash in and win the first event of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Let's get some instant analysis. Welcome in Sportsline data scientist and the host of the First Cut podcast, Rick Gehman. J.J. Spaun has a one-shot lead on Sepp Strock. Each player winning for the first time on tour earlier this year. Strock at the Honda Classic, Spaun at the Texas Open. If it weren't for a bogey on 18 for Strock, we'd be tied. Instead, it's a one-shot lead for Spaun. Rick, what have you seen from both players that perhaps gives you confidence that they'll stay atop the leaderboard when it really matters on Sunday?
Yeah, it's certainly not going to be easy to stay on top of the leaderboard, especially with the chase pack that is assembling behind these two guys with only, one victory each. But what I've seen particularly from J.J. Spaun is a little bit exciting. He went out on Saturday and he made 9 consecutive pars out of the gate. He then made a bogey on number 10. And I was thinking, oh, man, this is just one of those situations where this guy fades into kind of the darkness and finishes T19. But he was able to right the ship a little bit, make a couple of birdies coming in. And that's really exciting because this golf course, TPC Southwind, it requires you to play out of the fairway. And when J.J. Spaun's at his best, he's hitting fairways, he's hitting greens, and he's just trying to make enough putts to really keep his name in the mix. So I don't have a ton of confidence that either Sepp Strock or J.J. Spaun's actually going to win this tournament, Hakeem, but they don't have to, right? There's a lot of FedEx Cup points on the line. If they can get themselves to Eastlake for the Tour Championship, they've locked themselves into an incredible schedule for next year. There's a lot that they can earn even without a victory this week.
Yeah, good perspective there. Will Zalatoris among the players in that chase pack you mentioned, looking for his first PGA Tour victory, getting his first taste of the FedEx Cup playoffs. He's 2 shots back. Had an up-and-down opening round followed by rounds of 63 and 65 here on Saturday. Got a new caddy on his bag, hitting his irons well. Rick, what do you think was different for Zalatoris the last 2 rounds compared to his opening round?
Yeah, he was absolutely dialed in with his irons and his wedges. Last time I checked, he was leading the field in strokes gained approach. And when you give yourself a bunch of 8 to 12 footers for birdie, it ends up becoming a little mini putting contest for Will Zalatoris. And we've seen that putting stroke. Sometimes those shorter or mid-range putts can kind of cause him some issues. But what he did on Saturday was just make a ton of them. And you go out and you shoot a 65 to back up your Friday 63, and you put yourself in the mix. And again, there's a lot on the line that comes without a victory this week. But if you're Will Zalatoris and you are just drooling over trying to get your first PGA Tour win and silence everybody who's been talking about all the top 10s that you've been piling up without a trophy, this would be a really good spot for him to kind of break through, snap off, get a victory, and then really set himself up for the rest of the playoffs.
He really struggles with those putts inside 10 feet. It seems like he's okay with the putts that are deeper and they're a lot further away from the hole. What's the thinking there when you've got that short putt, that 4-foot putt inside of 8 feet putt? What is the deal there with Will Zalatoris?
I'm glad you mentioned what is the thinking, Hakeem, because it's certainly all mental here. This is not physical. And you can see on those really short putts, he gets almost a figure 8 type loop in his putting stroke as opposed to just bringing it straight forward and straight back. We have seen him nearly toe every single one of those off the putter face. Now, outside of just last week where he missed a couple of those short ones, it's usually ugly but effective. He can still make a lot of them even in pressure situations, but that is something that he is week in and week out working on. He knows it's the biggest flaw in his game and the one thing that could hold him back from being a true superstar. And if he figures out those shorter to mid-range putts, I mean, it's game over. He's going to win multiple times a year.
Looking forward to seeing what Will Zalatoris does in the final round, because certainly we're all rooting for that guy. He's one of the young stars on tour. Rickie Fowler used to be one of the young stars on tour, just sneaking into the FedEx Cup playoffs, 125 out of 125, was 7 under, heading to 18 on Saturday, then carded a quintuple bogey. He had a 9 on the final hole. He had been on pace to be among the top 70 to advance to the BMW Championship. Now he's sitting at 123 in the projected standings. Rick, what the heck happened to Rickie on 18?
Yeah, it's not often we get to call a quintuple bogey out there, Hakeem, but 2 balls in the water will do that to you. And as you mentioned, he was standing on 18T there, basically 102nd, 103rd in the FedEx Cup standing. So he still hadn't punched his ticket to the BMW Championship next week, but with a good Sunday, he was certainly giving himself an opportunity, and then disaster strikes. And even after hitting 2 into the water, that one that eventually did find land there just in front of the green, that's still like a 20-yard miss for a professional, which is very much concerning. So Rickie, in one hole with 9 swipes at it, has essentially played himself out of these FedEx Cup playoffs, barring some absolute miracle 55 or 56 that he could go out there and shoot on Sunday. This will be the last round of Rickie Fowler's season.
Some would say that Rickie's game is toast. And this is a guy that was once ranked top 5 in the world. Now he's 167th in the world. Rick, where does Fowler go from here?
There's really only one direction to go, because it has not been a good 2 years for Rickie Fowler. He tried to implement swing changes back in early 2020, and they just never stuck, Hakeem. And he was in between swings for essentially 18 months. And when you're trying to put a new swing into competition and it's not going right, things just begin to snowball. And then more recently, we've seen him try 5 or 6 different putters over the course of the last couple of months. And that's not a great sign for someone who is such a historically great putter like Rickie Fowler is. He's got 1 more year of full exempt status on the PGA Tour. That's next year. And even if he does end up losing his tour card, I imagine he's going to have plenty of sponsors exemptions and ways to get into a lot of these events. But it would be it would be kind of an end of an era if Rickie Fowler did not have a full PGA Tour card after next season.
Yeah, likely not advancing to the BMW Championship. Meantime, there are a bevy of players that are trying to improve their spot in the FedEx Cup standings. Rick, who will you be watching for in the final round?
Yeah, I'm laser focused on Jon Rahm. I mean, it's fun to watch the bubble, the guys who are going to make it into the top 70, but you have to remember, we're only playing 3 playoff events this year. And after the first 2, we're going to go to the staggered start at the Tour Championship. So your position after next week's BMW Championship is absolutely critical. And Jon Rahm has had a good year, maybe not a great year. He's got a victory at the Mexico Open, and he's currently sitting in that 15th to 17th range in the FedEx Cup standings. Well, that's not good enough if you're Jon Rahm. That will not give you an opportunity to win the Tour Championship if you're starting 7 shots back of Scottie Scheffler or Cam Smith or Tony Finau or Will Zalatoris, whoever it ends up being when we do get to East Lake. So what I need to see from Jon Rahm is a really good Sunday. Try to improve, get yourself inside that top 15, maybe top 12 going into the BMW Championship. Have another good week in Wilmington, Delaware, and then give yourself a realistic chance of winning the Tour Championship, because if you're 7 or 8 shots back, it is not realistic that you will win the Tour Championship.
Yeah, that was an incredible season in 2020 when he won the BMW Championship in a playoff over Dustin Johnson, hitting that super long putt inside 70 feet, which was absolutely ridiculous. After Scottie Scheffler missed the cut this week, the top spot in the FedEx Cup standings up for grabs. So, Rick, who's your pick to win the St. Jude Championship going into the final round?
Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to roll with Will Zalatoris here. What I saw from the ball striking numbers this week have been phenomenal. We know that Will Zalatoris has had plenty of close calls, a bunch of top 10s, a bunch of runner-up finishes without yet hoisting a trophy. But this one feels a little bit different, right? He's not trying to chase down a Scottie Scheffler or a Jon Rahm or even a Tony Finau, right? He's trying to chase down Sepp Straka and JJ Spaun. No offense to those guys, but Will Zalatoris could go out there and put on a clinic on Sunday. And if he does that and he wins this event like I believe he's going to, he will vault into that #1 spot in the FedEx Cup standings and give himself a really good opportunity to win the FedEx Cup.
Yeah, he's below the tour average on those putts from 4 to 8 feet. If you are right, if he can clean things up in between his ears, I mean, we're looking at a champion here on Sunday. Because if he can knock in those short putts, you're right, it's game over for Will Zalatoris.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the one thing, right? He is so much better than the field in almost every other aspect. Off the tee, on approach, those irons and wedges. The long putts are fine. It's that 4 to 8 feet. If he can even putt to field average in those situations, it's likely that he's victorious. So it's a very wide path for him to victory on Sunday.
Will Zalatoris looking to win his first PGA Tour victory. That'd be pretty cool if he gets it in his first FedEx Cup playoff event there on Sunday at TPC South. Win Rick Gehman breaking down for us here on CBS Sports HQ. And for more awesome golf content, join Rick Gehman and his crew on the First Cut podcast, a cavalcade of stars. You'll get tournament previews, including DFS picks and analysis, and you'll get round-by-round reaction to each PGA Tour event, including the FedEx Cup playoffs. The First Cut podcast. Download and subscribe today.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.